my name's Shelley Garwith and I'm a functional nutritionist in Wellington. I am so glad that you've signed up to the newsletter. I often get asked about my health story and my health journey, and I would like to say there's probably two parts to it. The pre-studying nutrition and then what happened to me once I did actually start working full time. So I never like to talk about it in clinic because it's all about you. And I want all the focus to be on you and your health and to give you the support that you need. But I do also understand that people want to know my journey and who I am and what happened. Looking back now and working with my parents and running labs on them and seeing them in clinic and looking at their health, I can now say that I can assume based on their labs now and my labs too, that I was born with a huge heavy metal load. My parents are at the highest levels for some of their heavy metals. Like when I did their labs, the director rang me and he was like, "Are these relatives of you? Like their lead levels are just off the charts. I've never seen it that bad." And I had really high lead levels too. So I can probably say that I had that from childhood too. I also like to think that I probably had a thyroid condition from childhood too, because if you think my eyebrows are not very bushy now, they are amazing, to the point that I used to, as a child, get teased for having half eyebrows. I was known as the half eyebrow girl. Leading up to moving over to Australia, where I worked in an investment bank, when I was at university and in my first accounting job, I got shingles 6 times. I got it yearly. It really frustrated me. I'd go to bed and then I would rest, take some medication and move on. Once I got to Australia, I started working at an investment bank and I loved it. I burned the candle at both ends. I'd never been a great sleeper throughout my childhood and my teenage years. My mum would do all sorts of meditation and mindfulness and feeling into my different organs and my body throughout the night to try and help me calm down and get to sleep. But for years, I hadn't slept through the night. I didn't really sleep. I wasn't a great sleeper. So my way of controlling that when I was at the investment bank in Sydney was absolutely exhaust myself. I'd wake up most days at 5 a.m., go to the gym. I would then work long days at work. I was studying to be a professional accountant as well. Sometimes I'd go to the gym again and I would try and get to bed as exhausted as possible and sleep for about 3 hours. Because for me, that was a good night's sleep. My way of dealing with things was to have more coffee and eat more sugar treats. I had given up gluten because for my period health, I had such bad periods that they often thought I had endometriosis, but I would be in so much pain that I'd collapse. I'd want to faint. Like my pains were just absolutely terrible. And I never knew that your periods were a sign of how your health was tracking. Now I love getting my period every month because I know it's a good check-in. But back then, because it was so painful for me, I absolutely dreaded it. So I was working really hard. I started to I got the Epstein-Barr virus and I just worked more. I just worked from home, but I still wanted to be on my laptop working. I was really focused on my career and climbing the corporate ladder. I'll be the first one to say that. I was doing really well at work, so I just kept pushing my body. And it was literally a push. Every symptom that I had, I just ignored and covered up. I would find another way. So as my energy started to decline and I went to a holistic doctor in Sydney who I loved and respected, my main concern was getting a drug so that I could fix whatever the problem was so I could keep going to work. That's what I'd always say to her. Like when she'd ask me to go and work with a dietitian, I'd say yes, as long as I can get a drug too, because I want to be able to work. So I absolutely pushed myself. I found out that I had an underactive thyroid. So I took drugs. I just kept taking higher and higher and higher doses. So the only thing I cared for was being able to work. Eventually, I got so unwell that I couldn't stand up to cook my dinner in the evenings, but I could still make myself go to work. Back at the doctor's, more medication. And I remember her very clearly saying to me, "Shelley, you are at the highest dose of medication now. There is nothing more that we can do." I was 26 at the time, and hearing that, something resonated with me, and I was like, what am I going to do if I keep pushing myself and keep doing this because there's no more medication to get me out. That went off in my head, but I just kept going. Until eventually I moved to a new bank and my health absolutely crashed. I got proper influenza. And from there, I didn't get out of bed. I lost my cognitive function and I lost everything. I resigned from my job. The doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. After 6 months, they declared me with the worst chronic fatigue that they'd seen, and they told me that I was going to die. There was not a lot of hope for me. I moved home to be with my parents. I was 27 and I needed full-time care. My parents suffered from PTSD because of this and the trauma of watching their young child, or to them I'm always a child, but be in such bad health, knowing that one day I may not wake up again. It was heartbreaking for all of us. When I was going through it, I didn't realize how hard it was on everyone else. And for that, I'm always going to be so sorry and so grateful for what they did for me. When I was going through it, I was in so much pain, I would cry because my muscles started to eat at themselves. I was in agony. Some days I just wanted to give up because it felt like too much. How many of us have been there on their health journeys? Some days are too much, and some days we do want to give up, and some days we're sick of it all. We're sick of going to that health practitioner. We're sick of starting again. Why aren't our bodies where we want them to be? I don't know, but some of us have damaged our bodies so much that it takes longer, that we're not going to be as quick as Susie down the road. Some of us have been born with genes that aren't as great as other people's. Some of us have been born with bigger toxic loads. So my health journey took a long time. I had to be brave and courageous, just like every client that comes into my clinic. You are brave and courageous, and we have your back. It is hard, and there are so many dips, and sometimes you feel so alone, and sometimes you are so alone because no matter what, nobody knows quite your journey. So that was my journey, 2 years of being in this deep, dark place. I would try and look on the bright side and just be so grateful that I was breathing. But it was determination and courage, just like you, that got me out of that to be able to then start working full time and helping others, give them back your health. And it was so worth it. I wouldn't change it.